Yash. Welcome.
Hi, how are you guys? So excited for our interview session ahead.
Lovely, lovely talking to you today. A compulsive overthinker and an overachiever, I must say, at a very
Thank you
tender
so
age.
much.
At a very tender age of 19, you all know he's a 5 times TEDx speaker, and as an international youth mentor, mental health awareness program, he always advocates that particular program. He's an award-winning author of 2 books, a public speaker, a youth influencer, and with his critically acclaimed debut novel, if I don't know, some of you must have also read it, A Celebration in Tribulation, written at the age of 16. At the age of 16, when people don't know, the students are looking out for career counselors and searching for what to do in their life, this guy out here had a book in his kitty. And he has recently also authored another book, and that too flat, I think, in 40 days or so, within a month. That's called Pandemic.
Within 30 days, just
Wow,
to be clear.
that is the NaNoWriMo thing, huh? Lovely. So that's
Yeah.
written at the age of, I think, 18. And the book
Yeah.
name is Pandemic 2020, Rifle of the Virus, Rife of the Virus, world's first fiction novel on the ongoing coronavirus outbreak, for which he has also received India Book of acclamation of India Book of Records. He has actually also has been honored by from Asia Book of Records International Award for being the youngest author to write a fiction novel on on COVID-19. Am I correct?
That's true. That's true. And you have put it all very well. So thank you so much for such a warm
And here
welcome
we
and such
have from
introduction.
UBI. We welcome you. As you all know, UBI is a platform where we connect creative minds, as well as this particular journey is about passionate souls who are passionate about their work. And who else than him could be a youth mentor for all of us, our youth out there. So here the stage will be his, and I will invite our host of the day, Divya Venkateshwaran. Hi, Divya.
Hi Sapna ji, hi Yash.
Hi.
So to introduce Divya in a nutshell, she is a very active Team UBI member, and she has been supporting UBI through various means, and now she's joining our editors team, wherein we have 5 anthologies which are coming up. So we have 5 different editors who will be taking charge of every book. She is going to be one of them, and Divya today is with us, and she's joining as she's joining us as a host. She has worked with a very renowned, she's actually right now also working with a very renowned educational services company, lives in Mumbai. She is passionate about music and reading, and she's an avid reader. You can read her reviews on UBI all the time. On UBI website, you can read her reviews as well. She has learned Carnatic music and also has won many prizes. Writing is her passion. And she has been publishing her articles in Times of India at the Soul Curry section, contributed to many anthologies, including our UBI anthologies as well. So here I hand over the stage to both of you and take a back seat.
Thank you so much Sapna ji for the lovely
Thank you.
introduction. Uh, so Yash, it's been wonderful to read your journey all this while, and I would like to ask you a few questions uh, about how you got so inspired by, or if you got inspired by someone and you started writing at such a young age. So let me know how, each author writes very differently. Either they have their own genre, and um, each has a different style. So how would you describe your writing process?
Well, that's a great question, I must say, because even when I'm reading, let's say, two different novels in the same genre, I feel like they have been written in the entirely different manner and with the entirely different, I would say, way of writing by the author. When I go on to describe my own writing style or the way in which I like to pen down the narratives that come up in my mind, well, first of all, I think the prerequisite before even starting to write the first page of any of my novel or any of my story is to have a sense of realism, to have that relatability and that connectivity in whatever I am writing. Like, even if I'm writing about dragons or direwolves or whatnot, things that are not possible in the real world that we are living in right now, I still would want to write about all of that unrealistic things in a realistic manner, which has emotions, which has this essence of feelings that your readers can connect with, that they can relate with, and that they can feel themselves being a part of. So having that realism in whatever I'm writing, whether I talk about my first book, A Celebration Tribulation, or I talk about my latest book, Pandemic 2020, Rise of the Virus, that realism is, I would say, a necessary aspect of the story which I've built up and the way in which I've written it. And then secondly, I would say the multiplicity of perspectives is also something that I sort of consider my prerequisite for writing any sort of story whatsoever. Like, for example, if I talk about my latest book itself, Pandemic 2020, Rise of the Virus, I know, and everybody who has read the book knows, that the central focus, the foundation of the entire story is the coronavirus outbreak and how people have suffered through and navigated through this horrendous COVID-19 outbreak that we are still suffering from. But then my, I would say, goal when I decided to write this book was not just to pen down a story on this COVID-19 outbreak from the perspective of just one person or just one doctor or something like that. My goal and my aim was to present a multiplicity of mindsets, a multiplicity of perspectives about this one single topic from different minds. Whether I talk about the ambitious journalist or the helpless doctor or the stranded traveler or the poor boy in my story, the stories from USA, India, China, Italy, it presents a tale that is narrated from different points of views. So that is what I would say even consider a prerequisite for my upcoming stories and narratives and novels as well, to always present maybe only one topic as the central focus, but from different perspectives. So I think that is what I can say that is the way in which I like to write personally. And I think that is what my readers like to read about as well. So yeah, that would be the answer to my basic writing style.
Okay, great. So I am looking forward to reading your
I am
new
waiting
book.
for your reviews. I'm very eagerly waiting for your reviews.
Surely, surely, surely. So, Yash, how did you realize, like, you wanted to write a book and you wanted to become a public speaker at a very young age? When did you realize, or how did you realize that, this is going to be it for
Well,
you?
I mean, it took me some time to realize that finally in my life. Because if I talk about my journey as a writer or a literature enthusiast, that sort of started when I was just, I would say, 6 or 7 years old. Because I used to write a lot of stories and poetries, and my parents, they used to upload this on some online blog back then. But then it was only when I was 16 years old and I was finishing off with my 11th standard, getting to the 12th boards, which, by the way, are perhaps the most important class in any student's life in India. And I was also becoming the head boy of my school. So the responsibilities were just growing on my shoulders. But then I had this 22 days holiday period before my class 12th was beginning. And I told myself that, this is the only time, Yash, when you are getting some free moments to do what you are passionate about, because then studies start and the responsibilities start in your life. So I try to understand what I should be investing that time period in. And slowly and gradually, I think I got more and more inclined towards writing a story of my own, which I had been, by the way, thinking about since a very long time. And I would say the rest is history, because within those 22 days, within that record time of 22 days, I was able to pen down my first debut novel, A Celebration Tribulation, which, by the way, you can see right behind me, which
Yes.
turned out to be this internationally acclaimed and award-winning novel, which had been written by this 16-year-old guy on an unheard and unspoken neurological ailment, first one in the world, by the way, on that topic, and that too within a record time of just 22 days. So that appeared to be that. And since then, I have been, I would say, putting my best of efforts in the field of literature, not just writing my own stories like I did in my latest novel as well, but also guiding and mentoring the youngsters in particular from all around the world about how they can also write their own stories, pen down their own narratives, and be, I would say, on that platform where they have a voice which they can deliver to the world out there. The concepts that they have in their mind, they can deliver that to the world out there through the literature, through the words that they pen down on a piece of paper. And how impacting can it possibly be? So even right now at this young age, 19, as I've turned recently, that is what I'm thoroughly passionate about, and that is what I consider my enthusiasm towards literature to be actually about.
That's great. And you started at a very tender age, I must say.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as we are talking about, you being writing since your childhood. So
Yeah.
tell us something about how, as a writer, you have evolved all through, right from, 6 years of age till now. Now you have,
Well, but, I
you
mean,
have,
to be very honest, I genuinely do not remember how I used to write back then. But my parents tell me that I used to write a lot of soulful poetries and a lot of soulful stories. Most of them were, by the way, about Krishna ji. So that is also quite interesting. But then beyond that, if I talk about like the recent past, my last novel, that is A Celebration Tribulation, and then right 2 years after that, my latest book, Pandemic 2020, I think there is a drastic change, or should I say, that growth in the way in which I write down stories or narrate stories. The biggest one being the elaboration which I do now. Because, like, I would consider my latest novel to be 3 times or 4 times in length, as well as in story wise, as compared to my first one. So that elaboration of narrative, that elaboration of concept that comes up in my mind, and then presenting more point of views, presenting more perspectives in just one story about just one topic, I think that growth is quite evident, which even I can, as an author and as an avid reader like you, make out when I try to compare my last book and my second book. And then even for the ones which I have in mind, the concepts and the topics that I have in mind right now, I know they are only getting better. And I'm not bragging about it. I'm just stating a fact over here that now I'm able to think more clearly, conceptualize more clearly, have a much greater depth, not just while writing, but also narrating it, delivering it to the world. So that increase in the depth, that increase in the greatness of the depth in whatever kind of narratives I write is also quite evident as I myself am growing. So yeah, that is what I would consider is the greatest growth in my writing style and whatever I write.
yeah. So since a tender age, you have been now 18. I mean, you have been 19 now. So obviously, there is a maturity which
Of
comes
course,
in, and
absolutely,
yes,
absolutely.
you do that. So I am looking forward to a mythological book from you very soon.
Well, that's a great suggestion, I must say, because I mean, I have been thinking about something theological, a theological thriller of some sorts, but then again, it's just a concept at the moment. So we'll see how it goes.
Great. And yes, as a young author and a public speaker, what do you feel is your biggest challenges which you have faced in this very successful journey of yours?
All right.
And also put some light on how have you, how have you surpassed them, or what have you learned from them?
Yeah, so I think this is a great question because there are thousands, if not billions, of youngsters out there who do have passions and who even have the substance for doing something great. But as youngsters, being a young person in the fast paced world of today, there are always certain challenges, certain obstacles that we do have to overcome. According to me, I wouldn't consider it like as a difficulty of any sort. At best, it was some sort of challenge which I did have to face in the initial part of my professional career, since I have been working at the age of 16. So I think the biggest challenge that as a youngster I have faced would be youthism, or the age-based discrimination, which I have also delivered a TED talk on recently only during the COVID-19 outbreak. And when you get on a stage, or should I say, when I was 16 years old, only a couple of years back, and I used to get on a stage, and most of the people in the audience, they were like in their 30s or 40s, or like twice or thrice as old as I am. So, of course, I did see the eyes rolling back, and I did see those sighs of question, like, how is this 16-year-old guy going to guide us about how to lead our life? So, that initial, I would say, age based stereotyping of somebody, and then age based prejudicing of somebody's talent and somebody's potential is what I did have to face as a challenge in the initial part of my career. But then slowly and gradually, I understood that when I get on a stage, it is not the eyes of the audience which I have to focus on. Like, are they focusing on me or are they rolling their eyes? That is not what my focus should be on. My focus has to be on what I am speaking. My focus has to be on what I am doing with my voice, because I'm stating a fact over here. Even on those events where initially the audience wasn't sure about the 16-year-old Yash Tiwari delivering a TED talk for them, who are in their 30s or 40s, by the end of it, they were clapping, they were applauding, and they were asking for more. They were asking for signatures and pictures and whatnot. Why, you may ask? Because in the duration of when I do something, or in the duration of when I'm delivering that certain talk, I am not focusing on what the audience is thinking before I begin. I am thinking of what impact I am having while I am speaking or while I begin. So that is how I deal with these sort of challenges. Like, they don't have to be age-based prejudices all the time. You can face any sort of stereotyping or prejudicing in your life based on whatever sort of, I would say, societal categorization that outdated mindsets still have in the modernized world of today. But then the only way to face that and navigate through that is to just focus on and have faith in your own potential, your own content, and delivering it with a great deal of clarity, believing in what you are speaking. So I think that is what I would like to suggest to all the youngsters in particular as well over here, to focus on what you are doing rather than what the people are thinking before you even begin doing that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and certainly applause from a great crowd is just very motivating. So you just then
Absolutely,
go on and
absolutely.
on and on. Great. And yes, you are a regular at TEDx speeches. So I think so. I
Five
would
so
like,
far,
yeah, yeah. That's a great count. So
and sixth
how?
one coming soon.
Wow, great,
Yeah.
great. So how do you prepare for all these, global talks, seminars, and
Yeah.
which you deliver?
So basically, I would say, especially in the recent past during the COVID-19 outbreak, since most of the talks and sessions became internet based and Zoom based, I have been delivering a lot of workshops and sessions and talks, not just here in India, but all around the world, whether we talk about India or we talk about the US, China, UK, Russia, Australia, Ghana, Cameroon, Nigeria, and whatnot. And then I would say, whatever the audience is, or wherever the audience is coming from, or whoever I'm addressing, when I begin, as I said earlier, my first focus has to be on whether I'm faithful to what I'm speaking or not, whether I agree with what I'm speaking or not. So first thing first, that has to be in my mind. Secondly, I have to deliver all of that with a great deal of clarity as well as flexibility. That is what I remind myself before I begin any sort of session or workshop or public speaking, I would say, project that I embark on. That I have to prepare one sort of content, of course, based on the topic which I have been assigned. But then beyond that, I have to adjust and I have to be flexible based on the kind of audience which I have right in front of me. Like, for example, if I prepare some sort of content which is, let's say, about the cross generational communication gap or something like that, when I'm addressing somebody who is in or an audience who are in their 30s or 40s, I will have to address that in one way. When I'm addressing an audience who is, let's say, in their teen years or in their early 20s, of course, my way of delivering the content to them will drastically change. It has to be adjusted if I genuinely want to have a connection with them. So that connectivity based on adjusting and being flexible to the kind of audience that I get assigned, whatever the topic might be, is something that I always remind myself about before I begin any sort of talk or session, whatever it might be. And then last but not the least, always, I would say, channelizing my adrenaline rush in the form of excitement rather than nervousness, because I know that it is an anxious task for a lot many people to get on the stage and then deliver a talk to, hundreds of people, let alone the thousands of one which I have done in my recent workshops and sessions. So in those scenarios, when I know that the spotlight is on me and thousands of people from around the world are not just listening to me, but my words can actually be a change maker in their life, I have to use that as an excitement for me, not something that makes me nervous or anxious about the same. So, yes, reminding myself to be excited about whatever I'm going to speak is also a very important reminder, which I keep in my mind as a loop before I begin any session.
So, is there something which you say to yourself, or is there any mantra which you, uh, which you
I
just
mean, see, of course,
chant, or
no, no, there are no
no,
such
not
mantras
a
or
religious person, is it?
no, no. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but like there are not no such words in specific which I have written down on a piece of paper or which I have tattooed on my hand, which I read before every session or something like that. But I would say initially making the clarity in my mind about these points was something which slowly and gradually became my mindset. If in the initial part of my career as a public speaker, right when I was 16 or 17 years old, only a couple of years back, if back then I had to remind myself about these things, right now, after a couple of years, I don't think I have to every single time, because now they have become an integral part of how I think and how I would say, even guide other people around the world to deliver their thoughts, whether it is in a session or even in a one-on-one conversation in a small talk. So now there is no such mantra which I remind myself about. It is just an integral part of how I think and process these public speaking opportunities which are presented to me.
Great. So, I am looking forward to a TEDx meeting invite from you very soon.
Absolutely. Sure, sure.
Okay. So, um, also tell us what do you do, or what are your interests, or what do you love to do apart from writing and speaking? Is there anything you do apart from writing or
I
speaking?
do like, if I'm being honest about it, I don't. I'm not saying that whether I have a passion for something or not. I'm just saying that I don't do anything much other things apart from either speaking for the entire first half of the day or writing for the entire second half of the day. In fact, that is how my entire lockdown, the 7 to 8 months, kind of went by. For a lot many people, they were vacation, but for me, it was like my work had trebled during that time. So yeah, that is how I genuinely spend the entirety of my day, uh, almost regularly. But then if I like have to list down certain of my hobbies, then sketching, I used to draw a lot of portraits and stuff like that, which you can, by the way, see on my Instagram, like the 2017 or 16 posts on Yash Tiwari Speaks Instagram account. Apart from that, also I would say a little bit of photography, watching a lot of good content online on Netflix, Amazon Prime, or whichever platform I feel has good content, which of course is, I only try to watch those sort of films or series which are benefiting me in some way, which are widening my psychological horizons about how I should be writing a story as such. So yes, that I would say is also a hobby, if I can call it that. And eating. I think eating is also a huge hobby, right? It has to be a hobby which I do indulge myself in regular basis. And yeah, so
Do
I
you
think
cook? Do
that
you
would be,
cook?
I don't like, if you
Okay.
turn on the gas, perhaps I can cook Maggie for you, but that is the extent of what I can cook.
That
So
would be
yeah,
enough.
that is that.
That would be enough. So,
That would be enough. That would
yeah,
be enough.
yeah. At least भूखे नहीं मरेंगे.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And what is this? Uh, writing a book in a really short time, like 22 days, 30 days. How how do you do
See,
this?
I'll tell you the reality behind it. Yeah, I'm telling you the reality behind it, and I have to be honest about it. Not even once do I suggest any of my mentee or any of my student to write off their book within 30 days or 40 days or whatever that is, because there is a reason behind that. When I start writing a book, or when I was writing both of my books, both of which were finished within a record time of less than 1 month each time, I was planning about that. When COVID-19 started, it was a halt on all of our regular life activities, right? So I did have some, I would say, escapism from the life which all of us were living earlier. So during that halt, I decided to invest the entirety of my days and entirety of my nights in writing this book, even apart from all the other work obligations and interviews and sessions which I had to deliver on regular basis. And even with my first book, it wasn't something that I planned to write my book within 22 days. It just happened because I was investing almost regularly the entirety of the time in these narratives. I kind of made these narratives the world which I was living in. Beyond that, I wasn't looking in left or right or any other direction. So I think that laser focus on what I am doing right now, and I have to get it done as soon as possible, is what drove me to finish off these book within a record time of less than 1 month each of the time. And it wasn't an intention to write them within this record time. So that is what I would like to be very clear about to all the aspiring authors over there.
Great. So now I think we are ready to take some questions from the audience.
Sure.
Yep.
All right.
Hi, I'm back. For the audience to be connected to Yash Tiwari, everybody is waiting to ask you so many questions. I'm just reading them all. Thank you, everyone, first of all, for joining us. And that too, with the changed timing, it is really kudos to the audience. Thank you so much for accommodating us. I will start from the last question first. Bhargavi ji is asking, Bhargavi Ravindran ji, audience can be different from different part of the globe, from different background, different age group. How do you prepare and plan your talk?
All right.
I think part of the question has been answered.
Yeah, I think I answered a part of it, but I have to be very clear about it. If I am addressing, let's say, an engineering student, or if I'm addressing a medical student, or if I'm addressing a fashion designing student or a mass communication student, honestly speaking, the content does not change. Even the way in basic terminologies does not change. If I have to adjust or if I have to be flexible about how I'm speaking, then honestly, it is based on, I would say, at max the age groups that the people belong to, or maybe perhaps the background that they are coming from. And then beyond that, irrespective of which country a person is coming from or which, I would say, academic background a person is coming from, I do not consider that as a criteria for the content which I am delivering. Like, for example, if I'm delivering a talk on self-analysis and introspection, then I'm absolutely sure that the way in which a person should be introspecting himself or herself will be the same in Malaysia, and then in China, and then in Russia, and then in India. It doesn't change with the boundaries or the, I would say, the nationalities. At best, it might change with different age groups that I might be assigned, but it doesn't change with the nationality of a person. So that would be my take on this question.
Wonderful. And we take a question from Kavya Khanna. She's a 19-year-old. She is, in fact, a team of from the part of the team of UBI.
Wonderful.
And she has a question to you. How do you manage to be productive throughout the day? Any suggestions for other people who may not be able to do so? And also, one more question was there above from her itself. How do you manage to balance your studies and preparing for TEDx talks, writing a book? As a student, I believe taking so much time out is very difficult. So yeah, that's coming from a student.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think there were like 4 or 5 questions which I have to answer in a sequential order.
Yeah, so
first thing first. Yeah, first thing first was about what was the first question? Yeah, just the first part. I just want to be sure.
How do you manage to be productive throughout the day?
Yeah, okay, sure. Great then. Okay, so if I talk about the productivity or how do you actually get things done, whether it is about deciding to write a book and then getting it written, whatever time you might take for it, to actually get things done, you have to keep yourself reminded not about what you are doing, but about why you are doing it. Like if I decide to write a book on the COVID-19 outbreak, and then I'm just thinking of, I want to write this, I want to write that, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I'm not even reminding myself about why I want to do what I'm doing, I can assure you the dedication will start fading away. The passion towards the project will start fading away. Or even the stock which I have to deliver, and I'm feeling a little bit lazy today. I would say the obligation which I have on my shoulders to get the thing done in the most perfect manner will fade away. Why? Because I am not reminding myself about why I need to be perfect in what I'm doing or why I need to get the project done in the first place. So, if we talk about the productivity or how I keep myself productive for the entirety of the day, even for the smallest of tasks, like let's say replying to an email or responding to a text message or just getting back to a call, even if I'm not in a mood to do that, I just remind myself about how important it is to be productive, about how important it is to get this thing done, about how I might not consider this as a big thing right now, but in the I would say the bigger picture, it might be a huge opportunity for me. It might be bigger than what I'm thinking right now. It possibly can be. So keeping yourself reminded about the reason, the logical reasoning behind whatever you are doing is how you keep yourself productive and get things done actually in your life. And when we talk about the, I would say, the balancing of time in my own life, I always try to focus on the bigger picture while being concentrated on the smaller picture. If I know that I have this board's examination tomorrow and then I have a tech talk 3 days after the board's exam, of course, I might feel more excited about that tech talk, but my focus will be on the exam. It has to be there because I cannot reappear for an exam even if I'm more excited about something else. So, looking at the smaller picture, getting things done today, which have to be completed today itself, even if there is something more exciting or more fun to do right now, is what I would say is what is actually important in one's life, while keeping an eye on the bigger picture as well. Coming back to the same example, if I am preparing for that exam which I have to give tomorrow, I shouldn't completely be forgetting about this TED talk which I have to deliver in just 4 to 5 days, right? I have to keep the enthusiasm up while getting the smaller picture things done as well. So concentrate on the smaller picture, get things done while keeping a bird's eye on the bigger picture about the things that you want to get done, that you are excited about, that you are passionate about in the bigger one. So that would be my take to all the youngsters over here, the young students over here, to follow their creative ambitions while not giving up on their academic obligations as well.
Wonderful. We have Lata Vishwanathanji joining us from Singapore. She's asking a question to a writer. Do you write every day? How do you accommodate writing time with your other accommodate? I think that is already taken care of, but do you write every day?
No, I don't. I write every day when I'm writing a book or when I have, let's say, a certain talk which I have to submit a script for. But if I'm not writing an elaborate narrative or an elaborate story, I do not write every day, but I do read every day as much as I can, because I even have to read a lot of submissions from my students, the stories that they write. So it can also be considered some sort of reading, right? And then beyond that, I would say regular basis reading is an obligation for me. Reading is something which I am passionate about as well. But then writing on regular basis only happens when I have a project that I've already started, like a book.
Okay, okay. And Ekta Sajdevaji is asking you a question. What global audience you had been most comfortable with while communicating? Which particular audience is there any audience?
If you're talking about the nationality over here, I mean, of course, Indians for sure.
Global
because
audience.
Yeah, we are talking, when we are talking about the global audience, if you're talking about nationality, honestly speaking, Indians, because like I am being genuine over here. Being an Indian myself, that feeling is always there. That connectivity automatically generates, right? Because I have more references to quote over here rather than anywhere else. Being completely honest about it. But if I'm talking about in all sorts of criterias that there possibly can be considered, I think the people of my age groups and then the people in their early 20s are the ones whom I am genuinely the most comfortable with. But then again, I'm also very excited whenever I get to address people who are in their 40s or 50s or even in their 70s or 80s or 90s. So yeah, that enthusiasm is always there, but of course that personal connect is kind of specific to the certain kind of audience.
Absolutely. There are many people who have joined us. I'll just take a few names. Piyushji is watching with us. Parvati Ramchandran is saying it's very interesting. We have Rose George, Aarti Karanam, we have Lataji, we have Bhargaviji has asked a question. Shashikala ji, thank you for being there. Rekha Pulapaka is saying highly energetic speaker, Yash. And there are many more. Rekha Pulapaka again, well done, Divya. Bhargavi ji is saying very, very well done. Lively session. Prakash plus Parshuraman ji is there. Swati Garg is around. I won't be able to take all the names, but thank you so much, everyone. I think we can take a couple of more questions. I'll just go back to the questions again. Okay. Meenakshi Srinivasan has a question. Hi, Meenakshi ji. She's congratulating you first, Yash, for being such a fabulous writer and orator. What advice do you have for young writers like you who probably are at a dilemma on whether to take up writing as a career option or as a passion while pursuing another career path?
I am completely, I would say, I have a very clear opinion on this, which I personally am following as well. Do not give up on your academic obligations or whatever career plans you have just because you are passionate about writing. Because writing is something, or even public speaking is something, or any sort of creative passion is something that you can make out time for, even in the later phase of your life when you actually have some time. But then in your early phase of life, if you're just giving everything into this particular creative passion, and I mean practical over here, completely practical, if you are giving 24 hours of your time for 365 days and just giving up on all the other, I would say, career or academic opportunities which are coming your way, and then in the later phase of your life you cannot get back to your academic or career opportunities once again, that will be problematic. Because honestly speaking, when we are talking about the creative endeavors like writing or speaking or dancing or singing or arts or whatever it might be, there is always this uncertainty about it. With the academic, I would say certification, not certification, but I would say academic strength, or the academic degrees, even if you would like to take it that way, you have at least some backing for whatever kind of person you want to become in the longer run. Like, even for example, uh, an author like Chetan Bhagat or an author like Durjoy Datta, no matter how best-selling authors they are right now, they completed their BTech degrees, they completed their engineering degree, and even right now, if they just want to, give up on their creative obligations and just start pursuing those career obligations once again, those career opportunities once again, they have the option for it. So don't restrict yourself by your creativity. Let your creativity grow on you, and let yourself grow within the creative opportunities that you always have the time for. But at the same time, academic opportunities are something which you cannot be assured about whether you will always have a time for it or not. So to the youngsters over here in particular, do not give up on your academic obligations just because you are passionate about doing something. You can give your boards exam with flying colors even if you want to become a YouTuber right now, just to be clear about it.
Wonderful,
Great.
wonderful.
Yes.
I think there will be questions more. Let me just have one look. Okay. When you talk to people who are in their 40s or 50s, how do you deal with conflicting ideas, especially about life? Do you feel like the generation gap affects how they perceive your ideas?
Can you
Coming
please
from a
repeat the
19 year.
last part of the question?
Do you feel like there is a generation gap that affects how they perceive your idea?
Not now. As I said earlier, in the initial part of my career as a 16-year-old public speaker, there were certain doubts that even I had personally about the cross-generation communication gap. But now, as I focus more on the content rather than the, whether the person whom I'm addressing is 30 years older to me or like 10 years younger than me, that conflict of psychological dilemma is something which I have been able to overcome over the course of time.
All right. I think from here, I just a thought which comes to my mind when you were talking about you should be focused on your career as well as your creative side or whatever your passion is. I can see you as a passionate writer, as a passionate speaker. But do you think that is your career which you want to make your career in that, or you have some other dreams which you have in mind?
No, see, in all of my interviews, I am very clear about it that whatever I do in my life later on, even after pursuing the mass communication degree, which I'm doing right now, public speaking and writing and literature in particular, they will be the foundation of it. But Whether I'm only going to be an author and only going to be a public speaker is not something that I would say, I'm just
Aiming
focusing
at.
on right now. Right
Okay.
now, I'm aiming at widening my horizons. Right now, I'm aiming at figuring out the direction that I personally, as a 19-year-old, want to take in my life while giving as much as I can to the global audience, to the global population of any sorts. So, public speaking and writing are going to be there for sure for the rest of my life till I reach my grave. But then, what are the other things which I'm going to do in my life? Maybe only future will tell.
All right. All right. So there's nothing set plan that, 10 years from now, I want to be this or 20. Like generally we say, right, the career guidances and everything is there. Another 5 years, what do you want to become? That's a big question which you always keep on asking yourself and people do ask. So I think Yash has to catch a flight now,
Yeah.
and we'll have to wind up the session a little early today. And that's one more reason why we had to reschedule the session. Thank you so much, Yash, for
Thank you
being
so
there.
much for having
And we
me,
will
and very
see.
eagerly waiting for all of you to read my latest book, Pandemic 2020 Rife of the Virus. Do connect
Sure,
with
we
me
all
on
will.
www.yashtiwari.org, and thank you so much for having me on the platform of UBI.
Thanks
Thank you
a
so
ton
much,
for
Yash, taking
sharing
out
with
time for
us.
us.
Thank you. Thank you, Yash. So, hi everybody. Today we had Yash Tiwari chatting with us, a passionate writer and an orator. Although he had to rush for a flight, and because of some reasons, he had to schedule this flight finally. And that's one another reason why we had to shift the whole session a little early. Thanks for accommodating whoever has watched us today. I'm sorry, any more questions to him, you can pass it on to us and we will share it with him as well. At this point of time, he has left the Zoom session. But yes, me and Divya are here. Divya, you want to call someone in? Anybody from the audience who would like to come in? Anyone from the audience who would like to come in right now live with us? This is something special for the audience. Anyone from the audience, whoever wants to be here, please message me here on the comment section. Yes, I'm ready. So I will just pull you up on the camera. Anyone here?
How
Let's
many are
see.
we getting? How many
We have,
want to join us?
I'm just going back to the phone. I will first invite Rita, Auntie. She is there watching us. If she's
Wow.
comfortable coming on camera, I'm just sending an invite to her.
Wow. I
Rita
would
ji,
love
are
to
you
have her.
there? Are you there? I think not everybody will be able to come in because it's not allowing me to pull in everyone. Swati, I'm not able to pull you in. I'm not able to pull others in. No wish, no worries. Maybe uh, hmm, maybe some other time. Anyway, if you have any questions, anybody, we can just go back to the questions and we can just interact with the audience if there is anything which they would like to share or comment. Swati, I'm not able to pull you in, darling. I'm not sure why is it happening, but it's not letting me pull you into the live session. There seems to be some technical issue at your side or my side. I have no clue why that's happening. I'm not a very technical person. But yeah, next time I'll have a tech guy, next time girl next to me so they can help us.
So, do we
All
have
right.
any more
Thank you so
questions?
much. I don't think so. And yes, thank you so much, each and every audience, whoever was there today, and all of you who have watched us till the end, has been there at the last minute request and whatever we just posted last night that we will be coming in so early. So thank you for once again for that. Divya, do you want to talk a little bit about what we are doing about anthologies or something? Can we share something on that?
Uh,
Maybe I can
uh,
just give a gist on it and you can add on.
yeah, why not? Uh, as Sapna ji said that we are coming out with the 5 anthologies, and the one which I am editing is about health warriors and survivors. So all the members of UBI, please, I would like everyone, every creative, passionate soul to write for every anthology. I think I would say not only for mine, but
there are 5 topics. They have a wide range to choose
we have
from.
a plethora of topics, and I think each topic is so beautiful. So I want everyone to, pen down, everyone to, let the creative juices flow. And
Wonderful.
yep.
Wonderful.
So
And I'm
that's
sure now after Divya is telling this, there will be people more. There are already, we do have a few stories. We will not be able to accommodate everyone, but yes, we will be accommodating as many as possible.
Yeah.
And at the same time, now since I think most of us know about the new event which is coming up on 1st of February to 15th of February, we have a 15-day full, 15 days, one full fortnight, which is dedicated to UBI celebrations for when we are becoming 3-year-old. UBI is going to be 3-year-old on 2nd February.
Yep.
2021. And there are a lot of activities. So stay tuned. There'll be contests, there'll be vouchers to be won, there'll be gifts to be won. And yes, there will be a lot of speakers who will be coming in and engaging with the audience, as well as there will be poets, there will be writers whom you might ask questions if you have any queries and all. So stay tuned. We'll have a contest starting from 1st. We'll have a lot of sessions coming in. Every day there will be a live session. Evening, spare it for us. Evening mostly either 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening will be mostly the timing. And we have a lot of beautiful, passionate photographers, painters, artists, along with writers who are going to be presenting their work on the UBI platform. So I really thank all of you whoever has made this possible for me to dream a 15-day long event. And yes, all of you are really doing a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Thanks to all UBI family members. Thanks a ton. I think
really excited for the festival. And thank you, each one of you. Thank you so much, UBI members, for joining in today. It was a very, rescheduled meeting today, but I thank each one of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and about the anthologies, as we were talking, there are 5 topics. The one is Health Warriors, which Divya is going to be editing. Other people are also there. We have 5 editors, and there are different genres. One is about Wonder Women. One is about teachers, human sculptors. One is Gallant Hearts, which is for armed forces families and achievers in that field. Then we have Travel Diaries. If you have a traveler friend who would like to share their story, everyone is welcome. And I think I've covered all the 5 topics, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not missing out anyone. All right, so here we, I think, wind up now. And thank you so much, Divya. Thanks a ton for sharing your time and coming on board with us.
It was an honor. It was an honor, Sapna.
a lot
Thank
of
you so much.